All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna check out its local search and its city search, see if either of them got BSS. All right, so we're in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. And our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we're rising, that means we're attracting, we're bringing in people across the entire intent ladder, high intent to low intent. If we're falling, we're missing peeps somewhere along the intent ladder. We're not successfully bringing them in, or even making them aware we exist. So, BSS, focusing here on this, this profile, this brand, focusing on the highest intent buyers, searching right now for boudoir photo shoots right in their city, social search and Google search. Then our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, focusing on BLCS. Right now, we're only working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads, and that's actually going to be the lowest intent people, in any location, but it's going to have the highest number of them. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google, and as a result, if we got 0 slots, we're basically dead, kind of dead in the water for on page 2 or deeper. And that's because we already know that approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 only Google searches. So they never even go to page 2. So we care about this 80% cohort. This is the bulk of the market. So if we're in 0 slots on page 1, we're invisible to them because they ain't clicking any page deeper at all. Now, if we got 1 slot on page 1, it's also as boudoir search sameness because we're looking the same as every other boudoir photographer. Everyone else on page 1's got most likely 1 link. So anyone going down the Google search, they're clicking us, they're clicking first link, second link, third link, all 10 links, opening up everyone, contacting everyone, getting a quote from everyone, price shopping everyone. And so boudoir search sameness, not good for us. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal, extremely common, but to have that few number of slots page 1 of Google is not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are 1, which many people know about, which is market saturation, and 2, which basically nobody knows about, is the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, it's when someone gets a new iPhone, all of a sudden they're throwing up, Google My Business profile, Google My Business profile, basically increasing and throwing up their website, competing more for page 1 dominance. Or they get a new camera, then they start posting them on Facebook groups. So basically they're increasing the supply of boudoir photographers where the number of buyers in the market remains fixed, which means it's making it harder for every current boudoir photographer to get clients. A big tsunami when that happened was when we had COVID. So when we had COVID, massive, when people lost their jobs, they still need to earn an income. So a lot of them came out as boudoir photographers, saturating the market, making it harder for all the current sellers. Now, the second deeper root cause is the false belief of page 1 equality. This is what I've seen is the number 1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. It's basically kind of this false belief is assuming that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, as a result, we, if you got 1 slot, okay, got 1 slot on page 1 and get some more market saturation. All right, we're pushed down onto, basically we're pushed on to, page 2, but that's fine because every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. So I guess it's not my time anymore. Hopefully they, they shut down their website. So maybe I got a chance to go back on page 1. But no, that is 100% incorrect. Google actually wants to give as many page 1 slots to the boudoir photographer that wants as many as they'll put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google in only 10 days. And so I know for a fact Google will give the slots to those who truly want them. Now, boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because yeah, dude, basically we're either got 0 slots on page 1, so on page 2 or deeper. And again, approximately 80% of searchers. The bulk of the market ain't never going to see us because they're page 1 only. And then for 1 slot on page 1, we don't stand out. We're not different. We're being price shopped against everyone who also has, 1 slot on page 1. So what's the solution? We got the solution. BSS is treated with social search saturation, S-cubed methodology. We know this is a solution because we invented it. Again, this is what I used to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 in 10 days, Google page 1 search. And this is actually the only solution I've seen that can successfully fight back against market saturation. Basically, we saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, so we show up there. And once we saturate there, the outcome is actually that flows into those results actually flow onto Google page 1 or Google. And if we get enough signals, obviously that puts us a higher chance Google puts us at Google page 1. So the S-cubed methodology, to use it, we have to accept page 1 equality as a false belief, which kind of breaks that brain barrier to, okay, what's the solution we can use? S-cubed methodology. And it's the only thing that I've seen that actually can successfully fight back against market saturation for boudoir photographers, because imagine we're in San Jose, California. It's a million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website. We're one of the boudoir photographers. Everyone's trying to be ranked page 1 Google, but we employ S-cubed methodology to the max, where we're taking up the first 300 slots for social search on all the platforms for our highest intent buyer keywords, which then flows onto Google. And let's say we're the first 300 slots on Google for our highest intent keywords as well. Well, that means literally the first 30 pages is filled up with only us on Google organic search. And so when we have that, buyers got to go to page 31 to essentially find any other competitors, and no one's going to page 31. So buyers can essentially only find us. So even if there's max a ton of boudoir photographers, market gets more and more saturated, we stay dominating page 1, which is actually where the bulk of searches stop. 80% of them, approximately 80% of them. So whose business is growing? Our business is growing. Whose business is disappearing? Everyone else. Even though the market's super saturated. Now, once true with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. Page 1 visibility is getting at least 2 out of 10 slots on page 1, where we're actually looking different. We do have a GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 though, 3 slots out of 10 slots. And once we actually achieve that, we get an extra bonus, which is for every new slot we take up on page 1, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So this is kind of an extra bonus of ranking on page 1, is we're actually kicking a competitor off page 1, and we already know approximately 80% of searchers never even go to page 2. So we effectively make our competitors invisible. But we do want to hit the GBC minimum of at least 3 out of 10. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we don't have 0 out of 1. We 0 slots on page 1. We don't have 1 slot on page 1. We do not have 2 slots on page 1. Well, 2 slots on page 1 means we don't have BSS, but that means we have not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1. And we want to hit that because we actually if we got 3 out of 10 on page 1, we're kicking 2 competitors off, or maybe even 3. Also, we're going to look way more visible than simply having the people with 1 link, and very rarely will there be someone else with two links, but we'll look even better than them as well. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got to get visible. So this is our universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by kind of the dual horns of market saturation and page one equality, the false belief of page one equality. And we achieve, or we utilize S-cube methodology. That's our solution. We achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So my results using this is my own S-cubed methodology for myself. I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So came in here, gonna look at the organic, and got organic slot 1, Instagram, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. But we got 9 out of 10 slots on Google here, simply from utilizing our S-cubed methodology. And this went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. Now, onto the main event here. We got our Boudoir Photography business. Going to check on them and, their local search, their city search, page one on Google. Well, we want to see. And actually, I gotta bring these over. So we're going to Carefree, AZ. Yeah, I do remember looking at that. Northeast Phoenix and then Phoenix, Arizona. All right, let's go over here. Boom. All right. Let's see what we got. Boom, we got one. Oh, Scottsdale. Okay, I think that's a part of Phoenix. So, boom, got one. Boom, we got two. Perfect. I don't believe that's her. Okay, boom, we got three. Boom, we got four. Boom, we got five. Boom, we got six. Awesome, dudes. 6 out of 10. So we overcome. We do not have BSS, and we have achieved the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10. Perfect. So exactly what we want to see boudoir photography businesses doing. So for the best chance for themselves. And now, oh, we gotta go to Phoenix actually. Phoenix. All right, so, all right, city's always harder to rank for because there's more peeps competing, more keyword momentum. All right, we got one. All right, so we do got BSS for, all right, so we got, we do not have BSS, and we did hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for the local search, and we do not, we got BSS of for the city search, which city is always harder. Right? There's way more overlapping people trying to rank there. And we did not hit the recommended GBC minimum of 3 on the city search, which is actually normal. I don't know if, unless it's a small city or kind of a small town, I don't know if I've seen anyone hit that yet, or maybe like 1 or 2. Very difficult though. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer and you did your local search for yourself and your city search for yourself, and you're saying you have BSS, boudoir search sameness, and or you have not reached the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1, and you now understand and you've accepted that page 1 equality is a false belief, that boudoir photographers is not given 0-1 slots on page 1. They can actually take, and Google will give them as many page 1 slots as they want to put in the effort for. And you see that S-cubed methodology is the only way to get you there. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, people get phones. Yeah, more boudoir photographers over time. People get cameras. Yep, more boudoir photographers over time. And you're actually thinking ahead. You're seeing AI taking people's jobs, which is actually going to force more people into the marketplace as boudoir photographers. So it's going to saturate the market more and more because why? Everyone's got an amazing camera on their smartphone. So that'll be the easiest thing for people to become, or to throw up their Google business profile or offer in the marketplace on the mom groups in a boudoir photographer. And as a result, we actually, so you've actually decided you want to fortify your positions, kind of like levees in New Orleans, kind of keeping the ocean water out. because New Orleans is below sea level. So you decided you want to fortify your position in preparation of all the increasing new boudoir photographers going to be coming into the market because of AI taking people's jobs. And you also want to kick out current competitors from page one, which you can see SQ methodology can help with both, and kind of establish your current position more and fortify your position more against the future boudoir photographers that are inevitably going to be entering the market. And you're seeing SQ methodology is the only path to get you there. You want to achieve page one visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer. You want to have boudoir search visibility because you know you need it on your path to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also want the extra back-end benefits of doing all this, SQ methodology every single day. What it actually does is it creates thematic keyword columns around your name, around your brand, around your business's name. And what building these invisible thematic keyword columns do attached to your brand, your business, they actually increase the probability you get recommended here AI overview, the most premium slot on the page, where many times it'll only be recommend one boudoir photographer in the AI overview. And so you've actually decided, you see kind of these backend benefits of execute methodology as well, which is increase in probability AI overview recommends us every time, every day execute methodology is executed. It increases that probability. And on, on also the second backend benefit is all the AI search apps, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, all those searches when someone's searching, boudoir photographer in my city, as we utilize SQ methodology to build up these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, higher probability we get recommended by the AI search. And this just increases over time the more we execute SQ methodology. Now, right now, Google's still approximately 90% of global search, but AI search increases every single day. I mean, I don't think I've used Google search to actually click on links and read stuff in like a year. But I use Google AI mode. Click the tab all the time. I don't want to click through things to read it. Simply give me the summary. And last time I used AI search, I used ChatGPT search to find some boudoir photographers in the city or recommend some, and it gave me 3. But dude, the city had like 60. Like when I owned to manually look. So a higher chance we get recommended in those. And also you understand kind of more you build up these invisible thematic keywords associated to your brand, your profiles, and all that, which only SQ methodology can deliver, that the more momentum you're building and the larger space you're building between you and your competitors that are behind you or competitors in the city. Because right now my plan is to only operate with one boudoir photographer in the city, which means, dude, we'll begin massive progress or, kind of massive distance between us and your competitors. And you realize if your competitor instead went with me, you would have to rederive SQ methodology all on your own and go out and execute it. You probably wouldn't be confident executing it because you wouldn't know if you derived and are even using the methodology correctly. But then you'd have to go out execute me and your competitor. But actually, you'd have to equal our execution to simply maintain our gap, the gap that we got ahead of you with. And you'd have to actually double or triple our output to, catch up and overtake our gap and overtake the progress we've already made, steal back the momentum, the invisible thematic keyword columns that we had been working to attach to their brand. You'd have to overcome that all on your own and kind of rederive the whole system from the jump. So you decide, screw that. It's better to simply be the first mover here, seal off anyone else, any other competitor in your city from using this strategy. And you decide SQ methodology is the path that you want to go down. So if that's you, shoot me a DM. My DMs are currently closed. The hospital is not currently taking new patients. But as when I do open up for new patient intake, shoot me a DM and we'll see if you qualify for using S-cubed methodology.